Why so slow? This is a question posed to me by a client. Half joking, but at the same time a relevant question. Now I'm not going to answer the question of why I am so slow, and for the record, I'm not. Yes, this client can pedal away from me on a flat, long pedals or when we're going up a hill. His roadie pedaling skills and aerobic capacity are really on point. The point is down, and I learned what it's like to wait for paint to dry. Throw us into a technical type of off-road interval section, and I will see him when the sun comes up the next day. Alright, maybe not that extreme, but our contrast in speed in different situations is definitely apparent. But there is a very distinct reason why these differences exist in our speed and our situational fitness capacities. We have different riding priorities, and when we're riding, we effectively train our systems differently. He has a very much XC racing mentality to his off-road riding and training. I have a go fast, gravity, enduro mentality when riding. We train our systems to how we want to enjoy our rides, and that's reflected every day we go out. So with this video, I want to offer up ways in which riders can have fun and train their systems to have better and funner days in the saddle throughout the season. Most mountain bikers do not have an excess amount of time to ride daily to build aerobic capacity, nor time to plan out a program to effectively train their aerobic and anaerobic systems, as well as time to build strength and muscular endurance through weight training. So what I want to do is help you find ways during your limited riding time to build your capacities, increase your power, and ultimately enable you to have a lot more fun riding throughout the season. First off, I am not a fitness professional, but I was a competitive athlete for over a decade of my life. So I am familiar with what is required to push the body to achieve specific results. And I have a personal trainer and athletic wife at home who always offers fantastic insight into training your body systems for specific results. One thing that always stuck with me when she would talk to clients experiencing a plateau was her reference to walking. So walking for most people is a completely easy activity to undertake. You can walk all day long because you have built up your system to see it as a normal thing. It will never increase without changes. For me, that means stressors. Stress. Your body both physically and mentally reacts and adapts to sudden stress to its systems. Bad analogy here, but take the lobster. A lobster doesn't break its shell until the stress on its system tells it to. In the same sort of way, your muscles, your systems, will not adapt or grow until they experience the stress to do so. So what that means is if you go out and ride the same way all the time, sticking to a consistent effort, you will never stress your body to the point where it needs to change and adapt. So what's going to follow are my suggestions of ways to stress those systems, improve your fitness and riding capabilities while still enjoying the limited weekly rides and the limited amount of times you get to go out. This will hopefully prime you for longer days in the saddle, make travel rides longer and more enjoyable when you're out enjoying them, and easier to do back-to-back days in those travel days without feeling extreme fatigue. Really, it's just to make sure you enjoy riding more by making it easier. Alright, this first point probably goes without saying it. One of the best ways is riding with your buddies. Riding in a group is a great way to be distracted from the aerobic pains of cycling, especially early in the riding season. You know, you got mid-ride stops to laugh together or, pop a snarky joke at each other. These quick breaks help break up hard aerobic efforts. So if you're at the slower end of the group, your buddies are going to wait for you. If they don't, they're just jackasses to begin with. But this will allow you to ride at your own effort, or even maybe a little harder than normal, and catch a break at the next meetup. Or it's going to cut out that downtime you usually have on your own rides and effectively stress your system into improving over how you would normally ride on your own. So by riding with guys that are faster than you, guys and girls that are faster than you, you may naturally start to stress your systems to improve. And going for group rides usually means you're going to be out longer than your normal solo rides. And this is going to help stress your system as well. But I want to make a point. When you're on the group rides, don't shortchange yourself. Don't shortcut sections. Don't skip out on trail deviations when the group is going a different way. Ride where everyone rides. They're going to wait for you. When they do that extra loop or hit another trail, just grab another bar, pop in a gel or two, and just go do it. So a group ride is a great way to build your aerobic capacity. What about your anaerobic capacity? Well, what that means is hard efforts and intervals. But before we go and do that, I want to offer up something you should spend some time working on in the interim. Now, it will only benefit your anaerobic training, but it's going to help keep you riding safe. And this is working on your technical skills, namely your abilities to brake well, corner well, climb, read terrain, and shift your body weight. I'm suggesting you do this before getting into any interval training because you're likely going to want to do your interval training in the trails. And why do you want to be in the trails? Because you don't want your interval training to feel like some form of medieval punishment. And it's going to be hella boring, and it's going to feel like medieval punishment if you're doing those intervals out on a gravel path or the tarmac road. So doing these interval sessions in the trails is going to require riding fast, and it's going to mean you need to keep your skills on point. You're going to need to be able to keep the wheel on the trail and avoid trees and other sudden momentum and direction altering instances, i.e. crashing. So to build these technical skills, what I like to do in early season is, and throughout the summer I'll do them as well, is up and downs. You climb up, you bomb back down. So idea is to find a trail or two that's got plenty of gravity assisted speed and a terrain that requires you to work on your skills. Work on those braking points, your cornering technique, scanning the terrain, and needing to alter your body position while you're riding. So that climbing portion can help you with a few things. It can help with your aerobic capacity, sure. But if you start pushing a heavier gear or standing up, you can start working on power, muscular endurance, and your anaerobic building as well. Then the fun starts on the way back down. You can start working on those technical skills, because if you do want to do your intervals in the trails at speed, you will need to hone these skills in. So let's talk about intervals, which in my opinion is the best way to stress your system to induce improvement across all areas of your riding. Adding it to your ride is easy, but mentally you will have to be prepared for it. Long intervals can be very effective, but your brain will want to quit or even avoid starting the interval. So adding them into your ride is pretty easy, and with all of your data tracking devices, you can make it fun. So it is possible to throw this into a group ride, but to do it, you're going to have to lead out the group in certain sections of the trail. This way you can push yourself beyond your limits to stress your system, and you will also get the required rest as you wait for the group to come back together. If you're riding on your own, it is best to pick a few sections of trail on your ride to focus your interval efforts on. By pre-identifying those spots, you can mentally psych yourself up for them and also get the required recovery between efforts. I like to pick a route with about 2 or 3 long intervals, so 3 to 5 minutes, but also a few shorter sprint type intervals under 2 minutes. And usually those under 2 minute ones are gravity fed for me, which allows me to do hard sprints for a period of time, then a portion where I'm exhausted but I have to work on my technical skills, and then do it again and again. It is very important though to ensure you have sufficient gaps between your intervals to allow your body to recover. The heart rate needs to come back down before you do it again. I will typically hit my max heart rate of about 190 range, and before going again, I like to see it drop back down to the 120 to 130, but also feeling mentally ready to go again. So that might mean resting flat out, riding the trails relatively casually, or if it's those up and downs on the way back up, just slapping it into your 51 tooth, 52 tooth ring and just spinning up easily. I always prefer to do these efforts in the trails and on technically demanding trails. So lots of turns, plenty of short up and downs, tight corners, and trails that are tight enough to keep me focused on the trail and less on the pain that I'm experiencing. You got to plan these out and put them into your rides. I honestly think tossing in the occasional or even unplanned interval efforts on your trail ride is the best way to increase your capacities and your abilities to ride longer and with less fatigue. Here's a bonus. The pump track. Go ride the pump track on days you can't hit the trails. You will be surprised how worked you get pumping around the track a few times. Plus, it's going to help work your technical skills. I'm thinking jumping and cornering, and then as the name suggests it, pumping. Pumping is a useful tool on the trail to help you maintain or even gain speed. And when you start working on reading the trail, you're going to be able to see those spots where taking off and then finding a section to pump through is actually faster than straight riding. And I don't want you to forget about weights, weight training. It's a very important part of making you a better rider. Think about building strength, power, and activating your core in your movements. Do movements that require multiple muscular systems, and do movements that might throw you off balance a little in order to engage your core and also teach you some balance through stabilization. Early season is best to build some strength through low reps and heavy weight, then move into some power movements and muscular endurance. And as you move through these periods, always tie in the previous ones so you don't lose what you have built. Mountain biking is about having fun. It's about riding with your buddies, being distracted from the bullshit around you, about traveling to new places, riding several days in a row while enjoying a bevy in a fire pit between days. I think by integrating these little changes into your rides, you could easily increase your fitness, your capacity to ride longer, faster, and a hell of a lot funner, which around here I term as riding MOREAWESOMER. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. Hopefully it gave you some ideas and some inspiration to change things up this year to help you improve your capacity and to have more fun out there on the trails. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you want to pick my brain or even my wife's personal trainer mind. And as always, don't forget to head over to RIDERMTB.ca to check out the current mountain bike clothing available. I have new designs always in the works for jerseys. I'm currently working on prototypes of gloves, shorts, and trail pants. And while you're there, make sure you read the fine print and check out my no cry crash guarantee on the jerseys. So should you crash, rip a jersey, you got a chance to receive a free one, a new one, at no charge.